on whatever platform you might be watching me. And let's see, I think everybody is okay. Yes, we're live. Yay. So welcome to Tuesday's Textile Alchemy with me, Crispina French. I am a textile upcycling artist, activist, entrepreneur, business coach, podcast host. Yeah, and I actually got started way back in 1987, um, when I was a college student, and it is so can I just tell you how exciting it is to have all of the uptick in interest and awareness of our textile waste crisis in the world, right? And so textile upcycling is this really cool way to think creatively about the our consumption and how to reuse things that are maybe tossed away, but probably still have use left in them. So that's kind of what makes what blows my skirt up, so to speak. um, so welcome to my live stream, and if you are tuning in for the first time, whether you're live or this is a recording that you're watching, let me know, where are you tuning in from, and are you a textile upcycler? If you are a textile upcycler and you make things that you might have pictured on the internet, I would love for you to share a link to something that you might have made. If you have a business or if you're making things for your family members or friends, it's always really interesting for people to have, just other visuals, other, inspiring ideas and thoughts and ways of reusing fabrics that might not have come to mind initially. So please feel free to do that. Thank you for being here. And hey, Kim, tuning in from Montana. And hi to Nalady Fabrics. Hi, everybody over on Instagram, on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn and YouTube. So welcome to the uh, fun and games that we're going to get into here. Hello, Jeremy Osborne from Boston, Mass. Thanks for joining me today. So the month of October, I'm kind of focused on collaborations, you guys. So collaborations are something that, boy, it took me a little bit to get started with collaborations, because when I first started my business, I'm like a doer, right? Like if I have an idea, I just go do it. And I just don't kind of do a lot of overthinking. I actually don't do a whole lot of planning. I just kind of try something out. Is there anybody else out there who has that work style where you just, if you have an idea, you kind of carry it out and see, like, what do I want to change about it? What do I want to keep the same? Is it working? Is it something that is a viable design for a new product or a new process? And over the years, I ran across people who had that same sort of um, workflow, right? And I'm thinking of my dear friend Sherry Trinka, who I met, gosh, it's nearly 30 years ago at a trade show. She came into my booth there was a boutique show in New York City. I remember clearly. I had this big green rug, a potholder rug on the floor of my booth. And I remember her just coming in my booth and being like, oh my gosh, like this is like, my product was really speaking to her. And Sherry is a creative textile upcycler in her own right. At the time, she was designing for a company called, oh gosh, Outer Limits. Does anybody remember Outer Limits? Remember back in like the 80s and 90s where people wore those brightly colored like carpenter's pants? Does anybody remember that? Like, turquoise and fuchsia, like just over dyed, like garment dyed carpenter's pants and like long sleeve thermals. Well, she did a lot of the pattern drafting for that company, and we became fast friends. And over many years later, we actually created a collection of wearables together. She drafted patterns, and we did a project with Woolrich that was like a dead stock project using some of their wool and dead stock and embellishing it with sweater bits and hand sewing, and it was called Crispina Trinket. And if anybody out there has a piece of that line, I know I still see it in circulation. I was at a gathering last weekend for my dear friend Hilda, and her daughter Rosie was wearing one of the coats that we made back in the day. So yes, collaborations. And I am thinking as I've kind of gotten into this whole textile upcycling online presence and being able to offer, teaching and interaction with people farther flung without having to ask people to travel across the country to join me live in person. That was one really good thing about the pandemic, you guys, is that people kind of connected with each other online and maybe found, places where they were feeling super welcome and included and like community oriented. Where prior to that, I think that a lot of people felt a lot of loneliness and just kind of disconnect, right? If you're a textile upcycler and you're living in the midst of people who don't really get that, sometimes it can be hard, right? So, one of the things that I did last April is I hosted something called the Rags to Riches Textile Upcycling Convention. And that was right around Earth Day. And it kind of came to me like one of those ideas, right? Like, I just want to try this out and see how it's received, see how, if it's fun to put together. And let me just tell you that I loved it. Did anybody out there listening attend? It was so much fun. It was a 3-day event, all virtual. We had leaders in the textile upcycling arena, from authors and activists to, entrepreneurs. We had, industry professionals, people who run programs at large volume, garment manufacturing companies. We had representatives from Eileen Fisher. We had people from different, it was just amazing. I brought together all of these people. I was able to meet people who I'd heard about for many years. I'm thinking about Jess Schreiber over at Fab Scrap, and just really connect with people in a way that was like super nurturing to me as someone who's been in the field for a very long time, and also enabled me to shine a light on people who are just working really hard every day on changing the way we discard our textiles. So that was super fun, and it kind of led me down a path of wanting to do more of that. So if anybody has been, is new here, you might not know that I have a podcast, and it's we did a kind of beta test with our podcast just this past summer. Was super well received. It's called Rags to Riches Textile Upcycling Podcast. And we're launching our kind of weekly release of that podcast coming up here in a couple of weeks. And that is all about collaboration, you guys. We're featuring people who are upcycling textiles. We're featuring people who have a textile upcycling business and they have this problem, whatever it might be. Maybe it's material collection, maybe it's sales generation, maybe it's, how do you wholesale your product? We're workshopping questions like that on episodes. So if you are interested in, either being featured as a textile upcycler, or maybe having something that's like a conundrum in your business be workshopped with me and the input from professionals in whatever realm you might have questions in, whether it's marketing or bookkeeping or material collection, any of those things, I will be bringing in guests who are professionals in those different areas to help kind of navigate those obstacles that might be in your way. So check, stay posted for that. The other thing that I have coming up that's also really collaboratively oriented is we're putting together a course for people who are, textile upcyclers on any level, probably mostly geared toward entrepreneurs, but really doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur or if you're a hobbyist who's just really interested in learning, where do you source materials that are consistent in the quality that you're looking for? Or maybe you're an industry professional and you work at a large volume clothing manufacturing company and you really want to move past that greenwashing and into the realm of actually making a difference in that scale of business, right? I'm thinking about, Eileen Fisher and Patagonia, companies that I've worked with over the years who are really making a difference there. So this collaborative course that we're putting together, it's kind of a learn at your own pace course. It's recordings of the presenters that I was able to host last April. And that course will be going going live in the next few weeks. So if you're interested in that, hop on my email list. I'm going to put my my web address on the in the comments in case that is of interest, and you can just hop on that email list. The general list there will get you the information that you're looking for. So I see Donalyn Shaw. Good morning. Oh, yes, Donalyn. The Textile Upcycling Summit is totally accessible. There are recordings and a lot of conversation in Stitcherhood, which is our membership community. But if you are no longer in Stitcherhood and you want access to those recordings from the summit, we are working on making that those accessible to you. So stay tuned for that, Donalyn. I think you might fall into that category. I'm not entirely sure, but we will be sending an email out to anyone who would like to have those. You can download them and keep them as long as you would like. And Doris Lynn, hey Doris. Doris is an amazing textile upcycler. She's kind of moving from one career into another. It's so nice to have you here. Thank you for joining us, Doris. And I'm so glad that you loved the summit. It was really, really super fun from my perspective as well. And yeah, and the Lady Fabrics says, it sounds exciting. Let me just tell you that it was so awesome, you guys. And we're working on putting together our 2023 event already. It is going to be in April. Mark your calendars. If you haven't already, it's the 12th through the 14th of April. It's a 3-day event. And it will be, again, all virtual. We will have presentations. We'll have, panel discussions, workshops. We're really going to expand upon what we offered last year and kind of, we feel like, amp it up a little bit. We got a lot of really super helpful feedback from everybody who participated. So we will put all of that into action and be able to offer even more value for those who are interested. So yeah, so collaborations are kind of like a way to really, be inspired. Does anybody out there, I would love to know, put a comment if you've ever, collaborated in a professional setting, whether it's textile upcycling or maybe some other profession that you might be involved in. And how was that collaboration for you? I mean, I have worked in collaborations that weren't all that successful, that really weren't all that much fun, quite frankly. But I feel like if you go into a collaboration in a way that you are clear on your expectations and you are clear what you're requesting from your collaborative partners, you can kind of set yourself up for some amazing inspiration, right? So I'm not I don't. Jeremy Osborne is a longtime fan. Thank you. Oh, hello from Vermont. From Jay Campbell Design. Let's see. Who else do we have here? I'm just scrolling. Hello, everybody. Oh my gosh, there's so many people on today. Thank you so much for joining today. Yeah, so I think that collaborations are really a great way to nurture your business and feel really supported in a making situation, right? Like that collaboration I did back in, I think was it in the early 2000s, possibly, with Sherry Trinket. If you're not familiar with Sherry's collection, she sells mostly in person. She lives out in Olympia, Washington these days, and her business is just called Trinka, Trnka. I'm not sure if it's trinka.com. I just posted that in the comments for anybody who is able to access those. But if you're in the Olympia, Washington area, she sells at the farmers market there. She makes beautiful clothing for kids and adults. She also makes accessories, really cool, fun slippers for the holidays and for all year. But everything is 100% upcycled. So I'm really excited to collaborate further with Sherry. I'm hoping that maybe we can get her to present with us at the upcoming summit for 2023. But I just want to put the word out. Collaborations are awesome. And if you're thinking about how to structure that, you're thinking about collaborating, you're not sure how to make that work, let's try, maybe you guys can put some specific questions in the chat, or let me know what I can provide to you for value to help you really make a collaboration work, because it's just, I highly recommend it, even if it's not something that you do on an ongoing basis, but just to try it in a situation that will really kind of be a win-win, right? That's kind of the idea, to create win-win situations where, today how we market things online, and if you're collaborating with someone, chances are you both have followings on whatever platforms you're present on, and you can share and build each other's audiences, build the awareness of each other in your sharing of the project. And I think people really love to engage when they know that there's like room for input, right? And if you're collaborating, oftentimes you're kind of looking for input. You're kind of looking for, okay, how will this work best? And what can I do to create a lot of interest from my collaborative partners, but also from you guys, right? Like the people who are interested in um, just maybe purchasing if it's a business endeavor, or following along the creative process if it's an inspiration that you're sharing. Let's see, Doris says, yes, it's much easier to collaborate if the roles are clearly defined. Otherwise, there's too much of a chance of misunderstandings or one person steamrolling over the other people. That is so true. And Doris, yeah, I think that's really important. And when you're, if it's a 1-to-1 ratio of collaborative input, it's a little bit easier because you can kind of have conversations and put it together that way. We are actually right in the middle of a very cool collaboration called Stitch Along 3.0, and I know that there's a few people on live with me today who have participated in that, and that is a fundraiser. It's a fundraiser for G's Bend, the quilting kind of birthplace of the textile upcycling movement in North America, down in Alabama. The quilters of G's Bend are quite well renowned. They are descendants of slaves, and they have been quilting in that little tiny village, population like 220 maybe, 5 or 6 generations back. So the thing I found most astounding as I started diving into the G's Bend quilting heritage and just the attention that they get is, even with all of the notoriety that they are so, and well deserved notoriety that they get from literally all over the world, the median income in their town is $16,000 annually per household, you guys. Like, I don't know how people can do that. I can't imagine trying to make ends meet with that level of income. And these women, they work hard and they're so like well respected, yet it takes a really long time to make a beautiful hand stitched quilt. And I feel like together we can kind of lift them in our collaboration. The fundraiser is right now, you can donate. Every person who donates right directly to Mary Margaret Petway, who is our connection to G's Bend, gets their name on a list where one of those donors will be chosen as the owner of the amazing quilt that over 50 people have contributed to, stitching squares from all across the continent, actually. So with that, I just want you to know how valuable, inspiring, fun, and educational the collaborative events that you put together can be. And if you have any specific questions that come to mind about how to create that collaboration, how to get that really clear language so that everybody understands their role, please leave a question in the comments. We will make a point of, surfing through those comments to make sure that any questions get answered. And if it's a question that's actually like maybe more of an answer than a quick reply on a message, I could create Tuesday's Textile Alchemy around the question. So please don't be shy. I'm here to help. And I think that there's an awesome community of people here to also support and help. I'm thinking about Doris Lynn, who has been helping me kind of figure out how to articulate the stitch along process, and enable people to understand better how it works. So with her experience and her past career, she's able to really help with that. So there's always room for collaborations. I'm really excited to promote this month, the month of October, as being really focused on that around my studio. And I look forward to sharing more with you about that. Thanks so much for chiming in. I'm going to post a link. Actually, if you go to my website, and I did post that in the comments, it's just Crispina, like my first name, .eco. You can find a link to donate to the G's Bend fundraiser and learn more about that collaboration. So I want to say hi to Jody Cox, who's just joined us. She has her handle on Facebook as Jeff and Jody. She says the Stitch Along 3.0 has been an amazing experience. I highly recommend the Stitch Along process if it's ever offered again. So Jody, thank you so much for sharing that. It is amazing. Like the way that it works, just in a quick little nutshell, is that people from whoever wants to join buys into a series of classes to learn how to make a square for, if it's a blanket or a quilt, depending on the technique that's used. And all of those are compiled into a blanket or a quilt that is then we raise money by asking for donations to whatever cause we're supporting. And I can tell you, you guys, this is the third one that I've run. The quilt or the blanket that is compiled from the work from people all across the continent, the world, actually. We've had internet, European people have joined in the past. We have one sewer in France this time around. They're so beautiful. The finished product is like, it blows, every time it blows my mind. It brings tears to my eyes. Like, it is so moving to just see all of these people from all over the world donate their time and their craft and their money to putting together something that is just really heartfelt and gorgeous for the benefit of someone in need. So I hope that you do check that out. Jody, thanks for that shout out. That was really sweet. And I look forward to staying in touch with you. I will see you next week, same time, same station. And again, post those questions if you have them. Thanks so much for being with me today, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.